Hello and welcome to the Novare Science virtual conference booth. For 15 years I traveled to lots and lots of conferences, but sooner or later that was going to have to come to an end. So this video is me talking to you as if you came to our booth at a conference, and I sadly can't be there now, but I can make this video for you. In this video, I'm just going to answer the question. If you had walked up to me and said, I don't have much time, but I've heard about Novare Science, tell me who you guys are, and I've only got a few minutes. So I'm going to say, well, great, I'm glad you've heard about Novare Science, and yes, I will tell you about what we're doing. We've got a full line of science curriculum from 7th to 12th grade. It has a lot of very unique features and growing like crazy as people discover us. And so let me just show you and tell you a few things about it. I usually start with people just holding a book. So let's start with me showing you this book. You can see right off the bat, this 7th grade physical science book is about half the size and a third the weight of a typical science book. It's only about 300 pages long. The insides of the books are designed to be beautiful because we believe in beauty. We believe that beauty is a thing that fills students' minds, and that as their minds are full of beauty, they are led to pursue truth, goodness, and beauty in their lives. So that's the first thing that people like to notice about these books is the way they look, the way they feel. All the bindings are sewn, so the books tend to lay open flat on the table for you, and the pages don't fall apart. All right, so that's the physical product. Now, we have, as I said, a full line that covers 6th through 12th grade. So here's the middle school. Starting in 6th, we have life science. In 7th grade and 8th grade, we have physical science and earth science. And then starting in 9th grade, we have two pathways, a grade level pathway and an accelerated pathway. And the difference is basically, is the student taking Algebra 1 in 9th grade? If so, that person would be in the grade level pathway. If the person's already had Algebra 1, then that person would be in the accelerated pathway. In both, we have introductory physics because our curriculum is a physics first program. Physics first for everyone, and then after that, the other sciences. This is a math appropriate, grade level appropriate physics class. So the math is basically Algebra 1 level math for both these courses. For the students who want the more advanced physics with vector analysis, that's this one up here that they take as a senior on the accelerated pathway. Now, let me tell you, since I just have a couple more minutes, about the unique features of these texts. When I started writing these texts, I was trying to answer two questions. One, I had noticed that students tend to cram for tests, pass them, and then forget everything within about 3 weeks. I call this the cram, pass, forget cycle. I wanted to figure out how we can teach so that that doesn't happen, so that we master what we're learning and retain it for a really long period of time instead of having to reteach things all the time. I was also trying to figure out how to teach science classically because I was a teacher at a classical Christian school, and no one had an answer for the question, how do you teach science classically? So what I came up with for the answers to these two questions ends up being the key features in these books. So for the answer to the classical question, the answer is you do these two things. One, you shape all the learning so that wonder is the motivator all the time. We're always in a state of wonder at the world God made because it's so jaw-dropping, amazing everywhere we look. So we try to bring out this sense of wonder in the books. The second aspect is to integrate into the books 4 key areas. And these are epistemology, which means the study of how we know what we know, mathematics, history, and a real emphasis on developing English language skills, which means reading and writing. All right, so in our quizzes and tests, for example, we don't use multiple choice questions and things like that because language development is so important. Students need to be writing out answers in complete sentences and paragraphs. So that's the way all our materials are structured. So on quizzes, they're usually either doing a computation or writing an answer in complete sentences. Quickly, the other areas of integration, mathematics kind of speaks for itself. There's lots of math in all our books except for the life sciences, basically. But it's all grade level, grade appropriate, and it's structured so that once they get these skills down, they retain them forever. This is one of the big benefits of putting physics in ninth grade for everybody, because they get these basic skills that they use all the time, like the metric system and unit conversions and scientific notation, and they use these skills every day for the whole school year. They will never forget them, and this is a total game changer for chemistry, because they don't have to learn all this while they're trying to learn chemistry at the same time, which is what usually makes chemistry such a nightmare for most students. And then epistemology, by that I mean what is science? What is scientific knowledge? How is it different from, say, knowledge you get from reading the Bible? All right, the Bible has in it truth claims, like God is love. Well, science is not in the business of making truth claims. It's in the business of building models. So science is modeling, not truth claiming. And there's a difference. So we want students to understand this. And the fourth area that I mentioned was history. All our books are loaded with history behind the subject, and that history helps us understand how science works in a cycle that I call the cycle of scientific enterprise that's described in all the books, where we start with a theory that's trying to account for a body of facts. From that theory, we draw hypotheses, we test them, and then we compare the results to the hypothesis. If they support the hypothesis, the theory is strengthened. So that's the basic epistemology of science. Now, the last thing that makes our books unique is that I was trying to address the cram, pass, forget cycle. So I came up with a mastery learning teaching model that all these books are built to support. And it boils down to this. Every assessment, whether it's weekly quizzes like we use in the younger grades or chapter tests like we use in the older grades, these assessments are cumulative to the start of the year. Every one of them has questions from prior chapters, and these questions keep coming up over and over, so the students have to study in order to be constantly ready to answer basically any question from the whole book back to the beginning of the year. And we teach them how to do that in the early grades with weekly study guides, weekly review guides, that helps them learn how to study for long-term retention. And the key is practice. Reciting out loud or practicing computations. By doing that constantly, week after week, using the study guide, review guide, they develop the ability to study for long-term retention, and they just don't forget things. And the course becomes the first time they've ever actually learned things that they know. I'm not going to forget this. I've been rehearsing it for so long. So the last thing I'll leave you with is that students tell me over and over that they love our books because they're so easy to read. I've heard it many, many times from students. They come up and they say, Mr. Mays, reading your books is just like having you stand here talking to us. That's how they read. So I hope that will help you become very interested in our program, and that you will look into it more by contacting our sales department. Thank you.